further ado, I want to introduce you to my friend Mark String.
Bravo! I told her when she's not running for office at the end of the year, but should she go anywhere and we can do things together in the future, I will be there. So hopefully this will continue. My positions at the county 19 years ago started in the planning commission. Within 2 or 3 years I became chairman. I've been chairman for the past 16 years or so. In 2013 I was appointed the first hearing examiner for Collier County. So what happened is those two positions opened up a whole world of databases to me that I didn't have access as a citizen or outside the county intranet before. Well, those databases led me to helping the commissioners show what's going on, but we can do it in a more graphic manner. So what you'll see tonight is something that if you haven't driven the 1.5 million acres of Collier County, you won't need to after tonight. You're gonna see everything that's going on throughout the county. And about 2 or 3 years ago, once we got into the swing of this, besides the commissioners' meetings in East Naples, I started presenting elsewhere in the county because citizens got really interested in what was happening with all the growth. And so this has become a yearly thing. And if you've seen my presentations prior to October of this year, you haven't seen this one. This one became new in October, so it's a brand new presentation. Hopefully it'll give you a lot of information. I'm going to leave a copy with, do you have a club place you post? I'm going to leave a copy with the newspaper, a few people as well. So I don't mind that, you can post it. It's for information. You all need to see what's happening in our county. So this year is looking ahead for the numbers, updates, and trends in 2020. We're going to start out with an introduction to Collier County. You'll be surprised how many people don't know there's other municipalities besides county government. We'll get into population statistics, where we're going. We've done an internal population study. I got the numbers on that. Development statistics showing you what the housing numbers are, the apartments, and most important, the area-specific projects. So if you want to see all the activity in Collier County, like the new towns going out east. Did you know Ave Maria is one of now 6 or 7 that are going to be out there? Those are going to be called villages, but the area east of 951 is the most rapid portion of the county that's growing, and you'll see a lot of activity that we have going out there. And everywhere I go, I ask people, I say, well, there's a lot of good things in Collier County, but the first question I get is roads. And there's a lot of concern over roads, rightfully so. You should have seen getting here tonight. So I've got a whole segment on where our road system's going, what our plans are. They're long-term plans. Roads can't be built quickly, and they take a ton of money to build a mile of road. So we've got a plan, though, that'll eventually get there. Of course, we don't want to raise taxes. That's something we're trying not to do. And why we are what? Why we are still number 1. I'm 70 years old. I've lived in all parts of the country, and including California during its boom days, up north, and I still think this is the best, and I'll show you why. And then that little thing is a disclaimer. It says everything I'm telling you can be changed. This is information that comes in through the door. It's real fresh. It's before they really get through the review process that sometimes takes 12 to 24 months. And during that process, anything can change. I'm giving you the best information at the time I put this together, and also because I participate in making recommendations or voting on some of these projects, I'm not taking a position on these tonight. I'm just showing you the data that's come through the front door. So with that, let's take a look at Collier County. 70,000 people per commission district. Commission districts are set up by, they're geographically different in size, but they each have about 70,000 residents. District 1, Commissioner Fiala's. In her district, we have the city of Marco Island. Now, something to take a look at is the population of these three. We have 3 municipalities. This is the first one we'll talk about. 17,000 people, at least that was last year's numbers. Up in the north end, Andy Solis's district, District 2, it's smaller, but it's got a lot more people in that little compressed area. Bert Saunders is District 3, and he's got Golden Gate City. Golden Gate City is not a city. Golden Gate City is a subdivision, but it's larger than the city of Marco Island. Penny Taylor has the city of Naples and the surrounding area. City of Naples is 20,000 people, still smaller than a subdivision of Golden Gate City. Now, you're going to see a couple other subdivisions right out here. One is Immokalee, about 25,000 people in Ave Maria. It's estimated about 27,000 people if they build out to the numbers they've recently approved for. So if that happens, you're looking at basically non-municipalities that are bigger than the municipalities we have. And in District 5, we have the former county seat called Everglades City. 408 people. Small but fun little town. I used to be vice president of the Chamber of Commerce down there back in the old days. Long, long time ago. At least it seems that way. Something Collier County is 2,305 square miles. We are number 1 in size in the state of Florida. 67 counties, we're the largest. Our population estimated by the state for next year is 382,800 people. There's your about 1.5 million acres of county size. That green represents part of the county that you cannot build on. You'll never see development in 77% of this county. So people ask you, well, Collier County's going to get like the East Coast. No, it's not. I'll show you why in the next couple of slides. Because that orange area, that's where the development has to occur in Collier County. That's less than 25% of Collier County. And it's called, therefore we are one of 12 counties in the state of Florida that's called a constrained county. We're constrained in where we can build. That's important because of this map here. The state of Florida did a study on constrained counties. That's how they found there were 12 of them. They're geographically confined. We can't do much, and there's Collier County. We are number 10 in size of the 12 that they talked about. And by number 10, right here, look at Miami up here. Miami's 2.5, almost 3 times the density of Collier County. We will never get to that density unless you start seeing bulldozers start at the beginning of these gated communities and pushing them down. Otherwise, the density is not going to get that high. So Collier County is protected. But it also means for those of us that have to fit into that 25%, it's going to get a little squishy. So we need to keep up with the infrastructure. We need to make sure we got the roads and the water and the other things that have to happen. We take a look at the recent numbers that we've done internally on the population statistics. These are your population centers is what they're called, the little numbers you see there. Basically, by the next 20 years, we're going to be up to about 535,000 people. That's how the table breaks down, and if you look at it by year, we're looking at about 7,000 new residents per year. Now, realty people love to know, what's that mean for houses? That's what the next one's for. So where are we residential buildings? Over the next 20 years, we'll have close to 300,000 units in Collier County. Right now, we got about 200,000. And there's how your numbers per section. The way that breaks down is about 3,100 dwelling units per year. In a couple more slides, you'll see what we did last year. We've already surpassed that number. And this year is going real strong. Lending Tree did a study. Where are the people that they lend to remortgaging? What state they go into? Look at this. Out of 50 states in our nation, 15 of them are heading to the state of Florida. So that's why we're popular. We're the most popular state in all of the country. And I think it's interesting. People in Georgia are heading to Florida, but people in Florida are heading to Georgia. They take tickets as they pass each other back and forth. But we are number 1 in that. Someone asked me this morning at another presentation, what part of the country was coming to us mostly, and it is this Midwestern part right here. This is a statistic that was brought up at the end of 2018. As soon as the first quarter comes around, this will be updated. For the number of plats, this is where new homes are going. For 4 years in a row, this is actually the slowest year. It's because we were coming out of Irma. Irma took everybody's attention to try to rebuild the mess we had in our hands, and subdivision plats weren't the most popular thing to get in the door at the time. East Naples, for the past 4 years, has had the highest number of subdivision plats, i.e. growth, in Collier County. Well, look at what's number 2. District 5. Why is District 5 there? Well, it's Ave Maria. Ave Maria is driving the train out in Collier County. But that's just a heads up to what's going to happen when these other villages come online, because the housing out east is becoming plentiful, there's a lot of variety, and it's more reasonably priced. So we look at some of the hot spots in Collier County. For 2018, we had 3,573 new dwelling units. There's your mix. Now remember I told you the current stats show we might be around 3,100 a year in sales. Well, then we succeeded that last year by 11%. Every dot on here shows you where most of your permits are going. Now see that collection? That is Golden Gate. There are 25,000 lots in Golden Gate Estates. 12,500 of those are actually built on. That's about 30,000 in population. We still got 30,000 to go just in Golden Gate Estates alone. And then as you see, it's probably one of the more popular spots where there's building permits being issued. Apartment inventory, there's always a question because of affordability. And these are not all affordable apartments. We don't have as many as we need. But here's what we've got. Last year we had 11,700 completely built in CO. This year we got 12,346, so we bumped that number up. Last year we had about 4,000 units in process. We not only moved those over to ones that are completed, but we've actually increased that by another 300. So the market is responding to the need for apartments. Questions always asked, well, are they affordable? No. Some are, some aren't. The majority are on the higher end. And that's just the way the market's dictating it right now. Look at commercial. Commercial follows the rooftop. So if you got an area that's heavily getting a lot of rooftop attention, you're going to see a lot of commercial. And by the way, Again, the lowest year in 4 years. Not because we slowed down, but the hurricane again. East Naples, 4th year in a row, had the most projects in Collier County. Look at the little number out here in District 5, 8 commercial projects. Now with all that residential, you'd think they'd be putting a lot more commercial. They will be. They follow their rooftops. So now that the attention out here is becoming, what do you see in the next couple of slides with the amount of population going in out here? Those number of 8 projects will increase dramatically. That takes us to how the activity is going to break down in each area. Every square represents more or less an activity that I put on a slide for you to see what's happening in those parts of the county. We are going to start out east, work our way west to the coast, and work our way down to where we are tonight. I don't have one for the airport. I think if you know, the airport's expanded. They got a new terminal. They're putting a whole bunch of new hangars in. They are going to start some regular flights. But it's a matter of time, and they'll keep growing. But let's start with number 1. First of all, that's Ave Maria, just for giving you an idea of where we're standing. Ave Maria is the only town so far that's out there. The rest are being called villages at this time. Those are the new villages. Now that's 6 new villages. 5 of them are in for review. This one started and then hasn't continued, so I didn't include it in the next table you're going to see. But look what happens when you take those dots alone and you multiply the units they have and the population. Ave Maria is approved. Those are the approved numbers. 11,000 units, 2 million square feet of commercial, 5,000 acres. These are the villages that are now being planned. Total of almost 3 million square feet of commercial. You got almost 2,500 units for around 63,000 people, based on the census of 2.55 persons per household. So what that'll mean is that population on east is going to grow, and it's going to grow rapidly. These projects will all go through the system probably before the end of 2020. Now they're going to build out. I think some of the last estimate I saw was about each project's expecting to get 200 or 300 units a year. So over the next 10 years, you're going to see a significant number of projects going in out east. So here's some of the towns. This is Ave Maria. It was started right after the area out there was approved for development, and that was an order by the result of Governor Bush's mandatory order. We had to work out ways to balance the agriculture, the development, and the environment in that area. And the plan we got is one that Ave Maria came under. That's their statistics. That's their site plan. The yellow there is all the residential. Arthrex has got its big operations down here in the south. The core of Ave Maria is right here. It's a very walkable, real nice community. It's got lofts above the commercial in the downtown area, and there's a lot of homes that are reasonably priced. It's turned out to be a real nice town. This is the Ave Maria University, the purple is. Over here is another project, 655 acres, 1,800 units, just came in for review last year. It'll be done first part of next year. It's going to look a little bit like that. It's a mix of residential and non-residential in the corner. Then last year you heard of a project called Rural Lands West. January 4th, they pulled the plug. January 6th, they submitted something else. That used to be the general area of Rural Lands West. It was a big job opening up a town, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of upfront costs. They decided to do it differently. They decided to go in with a village concept, several villages instead of a large town. So that each village has got to be less than 1,000 acres. This one's just a little less, about 2,500 units for each one. This one happens to have a golf course as part of it. There are 3 golf courses in process in Collier County. One here, there is one in Ave Maria down the south side, then there is one along the coast. This new village is called Rivergrass Village. It's that layout right there, mostly residential with a town core right here. To the south, they took another piece of the town, the former town, and said we're going to do another village. We're going to call it Longwater. It's going to be the one in orange. And then they looked at another piece down south of that, so we're going to do another village down here called Belmar. The idea of the villages is they take less upfront mandatory infrastructure and things like that, so they're a little easier to get started. So that's how that's being developed. Our next slide, moving a little east or west of me in Orange Tree. That's Orange Tree in itself. It's seen a lot of internal activity. We'll get to that in a minute. There's a couple pieces over here that are requesting commercial, and the reason for that is what's happening here. This is a swap on some county land at the corner. They're proposing to do about 500,000 square feet of commercial and 300 residential units on that. We call it the Randall Curve. I live in the Estates. I'm very familiar with this piece. It's about 42 acres. It's one that's being processed right now. Down here is another project across from there on the south of Oilwell Road, or Randall Boulevard. It was approved at our growth management level for 400,000 square feet. They're in for a plan unit development for 156,000 a piece of it right now. Over here is the church site, 41 acres. They're developing that. Right across there, a new charter school opened up. And the reason I showed you that is when you see the continuation this way, you'll see that the rural corridors, like Amata Road and the others, are starting to have a lot of interest from development. Now that is our new regional park. It's one of the big regional parks. Going to have a whole series of activities: basketball, tennis, baseball, and soccer. First phase is now in design. And this right here, that's a mine, kind of like Heritage Bay used to be mine. It used to be the old Mule Pen Quarry. When I got here 42 years ago, that's a good place to go up and plunk it. You know, there's just dirt bikes mostly at that time. This old Mockley Road Rural Village is about 4,000 units, 2,500 acres, and that's the site plan. One of the plans they have in, it's not solidified yet, but it's one I found in the system, where they'll have residential in yellow areas, the green will be preserves, and this will be your commercial core. And right there in the Orange Tree area, there's a development that's already got 1,600 units. They want to bump that up to 1,950, and they're in the process as well. Mockley Road East, we take that site we last showed off with the charter school is way down here. Next, there's another project there, a small infill piece, about 25 acres. They're looking at putting in some commercial residential, and then there's a huge project south of Twin Eagles. It's all cleared. You'll see the trucks moving around. 853 units. The project was approved in 2008, I think, 2009, somewhere around that area. The area that was all platted, they're in there developing that project now. There's another site that's been completely cleared, and I couldn't find it in the permitting. Well, it's a school system. The school doesn't need permits from the county. They have a different level, so I called up and I saw they owned it, and they said they're putting in eventually a new elementary school out there. Now they've just cleared the property. Right next to that is another church site, and right next to that is a 75 single-family units going in a 40-acre parcel there. And this is the corner next to Heritage Bay of the Mockley Road and Collier Boulevard. 270,000 square feet, 400 residential units. That's approved. And they've already come in and they've got tenants for quite a few of these parcels. Remember, that's been very popular ever since it got approved. And over here, across the street, Aldi's is going to have 4 locations in Collier County. This is one of them. My wife goes there a lot. I'll tell you a little secret about getting old. You got to read all these things on the internet. Boy, the internet's got too much stuff on it. And one of the things it says, if you eat chocolate, you'll help your mind stay sharp. So you eat chocolate. I do every night. I eat a little piece. I hate chocolate, but I have to eat it. All these got the best chocolate bars you ever want to find. So if you want good chocolate, that's where to go. Down a little bit, you got Sprouts Market right here. It's a secret about Sprouts. Now my wife tells me all this stuff. Sprouts starts their sale on a Wednesday morning and ends the sale on a Wednesday night. So guess what? If you go to Sprouts during the day on a Wednesday, you get 2 sales. Good way to save some money. Over here is a medical center. Signs up. They're looking for tenants. Down here is Rushton Point. The property is cleared. They're digging their lakes. That's 229 units. Right down here, this project's been approved. 52 apartment units behind a strip center. Strip center is almost finalized out right now. That's going to be a affordable housing project. And over here is a 951 Villas. That's 148 units, and they got their wall up and they're digging their lakes behind the wall. County line south of Bikini Beach Road. Now, this is up north. This is a new Veterans Memorial Parkway. This is the connection between Livingston Road and Old 41. It'll eventually go over to New 41. It's an east-west corridor we've been waiting for. It is now on the books. It'll be completed in 2023. Why do we choose to do that? Because that's the next high school. If you've got children in Barron Collier or Gulf Coast, the whole school system up there is going to be kind of reworked. I asked the school superintendent, or not one of the people over there, I don't know, in that office, if they could tell me how it's going to be reworked and meet a new map. Nah, can't do that. I guess that gets pretty controversial. So I don't know when they're going to let that out, but there will be some changes in the school system. Project right next to it was approved for 430 multifamily. They're looking at changing it to 265 single family. That's in review. Right here is a small project. It's being filled out right now. Summit Church and memory care facilities going in right there. And over here is Allura. Probably heard of that project. It's a high-end apartment project, 304 units next to Mediterra. And it's been approved. It will be, I don't know when they're going to break ground, but they're in process. And right there is a project it's approved in 2000 called Collier Bay, and I'll show you that next. Collier Bay is a high-rise project. There's not many left in Collier County. There are 5 high-rises that were approved in the year 2000 in Collier Bay. This one's up, CO'd and operating and running. This one's out of the ground. They got to finish it off. Sales, I don't know how well they're going or not. Then they'll start on number 3. Each building's about 120 units, except for the last one. It's a little smaller. And when they got done, that's what the building looks like. All closed out. Mockley Road, west of I-75. We start way over. You ever been to Bay House? Make a great plate of food. They're going to have another restaurant up there, and they're going to do a 160 room, well, hotel up in the same location. That's for review. And if you want a discounted Ferrari, everybody would want a discounted Ferrari. Ferrari's putting a facility in, guess what? Right next to Walmart. It's got to be reasonable. We have a lot of car dealerships, but that's one of them. So. Right here is the new Arthrex is building a hotel as well as a new administrative center. The hotel is going to be mostly for their people who come in, surgeons who come in and get trained on their implements and the things they make. And I'm not sure all the things they make, what's really complicated stuff. Over here is another project that's being stuck with right now. It's well topped out by I-75 next to the other Walmart. We got 5 Walmarts in Collier County. Can you believe that? This intersection is proven pretty interesting. There's a lot going on there. We're going to show that next, and you would probably know about this one. Elfie Oaks.
Yeah.
Seat to Table was supposed to open in 2018. Then it was going to be this month. It's put off again, but all for good reason. Elfie flies all over the country, and he goes into new grocery stores to see how they're operating, see what's attracting people. Last thing he wanted to do was build another typical grocery store where people come in, buy their milk, and go home. You won't be doing that here. I got the sneak preview of it the other day. It is unbelievable what the inside of that thing looks like. You need to see it when it opens up. It's one of a kind in Collier County. It certainly will be an attractor for our area. He's going to include, he took that building, put a mezzanine over the inside of it. It's got 300 seats for dining up on top. It's got 3 different kitchens to cook different kinds of food. I'm not even sure what kind of variety is going to be out of there, but it's going to be something else. Plus, instead of a typical 165 employees for a grocery store that size, he's going to employ about 400. So much so, he had to get a parking lot across the street for him, and that's under construction now as we speak. Down across the street, there's another car dealership going in. They haven't put a brand name on it yet, but you'll see some others. We had a lot of car dealerships come in last year, and right next to that is another multifamily. This one's interesting because they're asking for 280 multifamily on 10 acres. That's 28 units per acre. That's kind of high for Collier County, so we'll see how that goes through the system. We haven't seen much plans like that too much anymore. And right next south of that is a project coming in with some townhouses or senior living facilities. They have 2 plans. One or the other is going to pop out of the ground there. Pine Ridge Vanderbilt, West I-75. We're going to start way over at the end of Pine Ridge. Someone mentioned a parking garage earlier. Yeah. Now, that's the parking garage that was thought of. I don't know if it's going to continue. I don't know any status other than it went in for pre-app, and it's been in some kind of in process right now. I'm not taking a position on it, but I can tell you I don't vote anymore. It's too crowded and too expensive to vote. So I kayak. If I try to go to that with my kayak, it's going to be sitting on the ground, and I'll be ruining my nice kayak. So maybe they'll just do a hide where I can drive down the middle with a hide chute just for my vehicle. I'll miss that. Over here at Goodland Road and Pine Ridge, Magnolia Square, 325 apartments. This will be high end. That one's approved. They're actually in for site plan development, stuff like that. Up here, Erickson's Communities. You know where Greek Orthodox Church is in Orange Blossom? Mm-hmm. 508 senior living facilities, units there. Erickson's one of the big boys. They operate across the nation. I asked them when they came in. They said it's about $500,000 per person to come in, but you stay there as you age and the different needs for types of living. So it's the first one I think we've seen like that in the area, but they're in process for their planning right now. Down here, this is Pine Ridge. Now this is interesting. Pine Ridge and I-75. That corner has seen a lot of activity, including activity from Physicians Regional. Physicians Regional is where I go, right here. They're moving my doctor and quite a few others into what's called a Catalyst Physician Center across the street, about 100,000 square feet. That means instead of having to go to the main facility, I'll be actually using there. But anyway, they'll be connected together. That's an expansion of Physicians Regional. Right here is Floor Decor. They're just in for permitting for that empty corner that's right there. And right next to them is a senior living facility with 64 units that's approved and is under site plan review. And right behind that is a hotel. Home Suites 2, I think it's a Sheridan branch, 99 rooms. It's all out of the ground and being worked on. And over here are 2 hotspots, one in North Pelican Bay and one in Pelican Bay. And we're going to talk about Pine Ridge Road while we're on that subject for a minute. If you were to pick 2 roads in Collier County, which are the worst? Pine Ridge and Immokalee. Yep. And the same ideas to fix them may apply to both. So let's start with Pine Ridge Road. This is the traffic planning areas that they're looking at. 3 of them. 3 different things going to happen here, here, and here. Now, this one's more reasonable. This one's a little strange. This one's weird. So we'll start with the weird one. Number one, here's your I-75 in Pine Ridge, and what they want to do, it's called a Divergent Diamond. Instead of going straight through like we do now, you crisscross over, and you go along the north and you crisscross back. So, I don't know about you, but I'm 70 years, well, 70 years prior driving a tractor when I was 8. So I've been driving for a long time, but I've always driven on the right side of the road. That's going to be interesting. So, but now look at what typical driver's going to do. He's going to be coming onto this, and he's going to have to cross over, cross back like that. There's a good philosophy behind it. You merge on and off. So it speeds the traffic flow through the intersection, both to loosen it up. I talked to the Sheriff's Department. In fact, I do this presentation for them as well. And they said it works in other parts of the country. Great. That's not all the people. I mean, this guy here, he's a tourist. He sees the racetrack over here, and he's coming over to Racetrack. So he comes zipping off. He's going to zip over here. But then he gets to area number 2. Area number 2 is taking the Whippoorwill intersection and putting a solid block through there. So when you come out of Racetrack, you got to make a right to go left. Here's how that works. This is that same guy. He's coming in, zipping around, back, boom. If he can find his way back to I-75, more power to him. But if he can't, we get a hotel room out of the guy, we get food, we get meals, we expand our economy. That's where he's headed. Now, if you're living on a Whippoorwill, you got the same loop-de-loop to go through to go west. Now, when you get over west, this is the most mild one. This is called a flow-through intersection. And what it means is you don't go to the intersection to make a turn. So if you want to go right, going west, you turn way ahead right there, and those are the easy ones. But say you're going north or south, and you want to go left on Pine Ridge. You got to cross these 3 lanes of traffic going north, come over here, go on the wrong side of the street to go south and make a left on Pine Ridge Road. And this is in planning now. Thanks for the sales tax money, this all helped. If we go east, that's a real simple one, but look at coming north on Livingston Road. You're going to go left again like that, but now you've got one of those fun loop-de-loops over here. So by the time you get done, we're going to be so busy driving in Kaiser County, we won't want to be on the road. That's the way they're going to reduce our traffic count. So let's get to Pelican Bay. Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton's doing an expansion up in the north end. They're adding a section to their tower with about 74 new suites in it right there. And right on the opposite side of Barrow Beach Road, over here, a developer's aggregated a series of parcels like that, and he's come in with a new plan to put in 5 buildings with a mixture of 240 units, a hotel, and some commercial space, and that's in review now. And then we moved further into Pelican Bay, Mystique. There's only 2 spaces in Pelican Bay that can have high-rises. There's 2 buildings, 81 units in the first building. This is Site 1, Site 2, St. Raphael, Cap Ferrat. That's the building. It's completed, CO'd. I asked the developer, I said, what kind of money does it cost on average? Average sale price, $5 to $6 million. Now that's huge for our tax base. And they only stay there a little bit at a time, so they don't take much of our infrastructure, but it's just amazing the way those numbers are. Site 2, I don't know when that's going to come out of the ground, but that's the next site that would go up in there. The Golden Gate City area, we got a new medical center in the north end of Golden Gate City along 951. And by the way, 951 is Collier Boulevard. I've been here so long, I still can't call it Collier Boulevard regularly. This is the golf course, Golden Gate Golf Course. We purchased it for $29 million, and there's all kinds of ideas swimming around about what needs to be done and what we can do with that golf course. I haven't found anything that we've landed on yet, but as I do, I'll update this. Over here is a small storage facility. But it's not in East Naples this time. That's not like East Naples storage facilities. Bravo! Over down here across from, this is what I'm going to show you. This is our sports park. The area's getting hot because of the sports park's attention. We got a 270,000 square foot commercial with 433 residential units. There's some interest in seeing that move ahead. Down south of that, they're up, I think they're underway by now, 425 multifamily residential units. Down here is a 79 residential units, all cleared. You can see a big swath of open land now. That's where Habitat's got one of their new projects. And by the way, you'll see some further on, a couple slides of Habitat's new cutouts. They do a really nice job now. They've got a whole new program. And I think it's been better received by the neighborhoods. There's our sports park. 120 acres, 60 acres in a shovel-ready planned unit development called Seagate right here. And another 60 acres on county-owned property that's got to have wetland permitting and stuff like that. So we're moving forward with phase 1 pretty rapidly. And down here is the skeleton building. Do you all know what that is?
Yep.
The empty building? Well, that's finally changing. Are we gonna get something exciting in place of the skeleton building? But first, the sports park. There's the layout. Phase 1, phase 2. Over here is your stadium, field house, and then the rest is open playing fields. And when we get done, that's one of the renderings that they expect it to look like. We're looking at about an $8 million budget at this time. Then the and the skeleton building. Now, if you think you're going to get a BJ Wholesalers, they had a contract on it twice, and they walked because they couldn't get a light. Here's what we're going to have. That is a delivery warehouse. Is that exciting or what? These are all vans and trucks. These are more trucks. I checked and see what the company was. An engineering firm from New Jersey, I think it was, so put this plan in. That's what they're going to do with the property. They're in for permitting. And I tried to figure out what else they've done. Well, it looks like they've done a lot of FedEx's distribution centers. My thought is it might be a FedEx, but they've not said yet what it is. But that's the only thing I could do is I looked up who their clients were, and they like to talk about how much they do for FedEx. So maybe that's what's going to be here. And Collier Boulevard, another fun. Well, see, we thought of that.
That's right.
Traffic. What's going to happen to Collier Boulevard in that location?
Yeah.
That's the location.
Right.
We got dual overpass going in. This is a FDOT project. They're going to do right-ons and right-offs right there, like that, and then they're going to put in a dual cloverleaf right here. Again, right-ons and right-off. Now, all that's supposed to really move that traffic through the interchange, kind of like the one over Airport Road and Golden Gate Parkway does. And then if it works like that one, we'll be better off. The DOT is going to have the design completed by 2023, and then they'll go into construction. Right now, the construction estimate is 74. I would expect that's going a lot higher by the time we reach the actual construction stage. But that will really help our north-south link, especially with the sports park and everything else going in there.
Wow.
Golden Gate Parkway is from the Parkway west all the way to the coast. We're going to start over by 41. There's a new project, small commercial project, but Mr. Tequila's is going to be part of that now going forward. Moorings Park at Grand Isle. If you've ever driven down the Parkway lately, you've seen those buildings coming up out of the ground. There's a whole series of them going in. And what they will look like when they're done is that. It's a senior living facility. Over here is, this one's, they're digging the lakes, putting up the walls. Briarwood Apartments, 340 units. That is the same group, I believe, is interested in Courthouse Shadows, the one that just recently got reviewed. Mm-hmm. And up here is another project that's being considered for 382 apartments at that location. They're trying to aggregate a bunch of parcels to make that one happen. And then there's a small proposed memory care right down the street from that, and over there is a 25,000 square feet in the corner of Santa Barbara and Golden Gate Parkway for commercial. Gateway Triangle at Bayshore, this is the Kaiser University down by Lakewood. That one is approved. They had 65,000 square feet. They started out at 275 students, and now estimate they're going to have between 400 and 600. They've been well received, so I think they'll be probably successful. Racetrack, the real controversial racetrack at Palm and 41. They got moved down to Shadowlawn in 41. They've taken down Old Cookies, Mufflers, and a bunch of other places. They're well underway. It'll actually be a nice looking building when it's done, but at least they moved in an area that was more acceptable in neighborhoods. Right here at Porsche, what's nice about Porsche is they bought Coombs' place in the corner. When Dennis Coombs sold that to him, we were able to get, for Porsche to expand, they gave us a right lane. Remember, you have to get in that right lane. You can't get out. You got to go right. It was screwing up traffic for years. So we took the other side of it over here, so now it's flow through 3 lanes at Davis and Airport Road. That moves a whole bunch of a lot better than it used to. Behind them is a car condominium that's finishing up as far as review goes. I don't know when it's going to be open. I'm not sure what the status is.
Is that the Ultimate Garage, Mark?
I don't remember if the name of it is. Let me see. Yes, that's it.
It's going to open next week, and it's
good.
going to be like the cream of the crop. And if you've got really expensive cars, you don't want to just take in a Porsche, and you want to go with Ferraris and all from there. And then you want to go there, and then you can even join the club, and they're even going to have cruises and everything. Wow. Yes, I could only read about it.
Right next to them, they've got an Alfa Romeo Lotus dealership. The dealership's there, but they picked up 2 more names, and they're going to be expanding to another location right next to them. And right down the road's BMW. So we've got a lot of this is what, 6 now. We've got car dealerships in different parts of the county going in. And right here, these 2 spaces are the ones we're going to look at next. Courthouse Shadows, which was just reviewed by the commission yesterday, across from the government center. This is the old center right here. That's the old, it was an Albertsons and a Winn-Dixie, and nothing seemed to work there, or Publix or something. It's not out. It's been dead for a long time. Near my office, Starbucks finally opened up. Delicious. I like it. Now, what's going to happen to this? Well, when a while back, Sam's Club came in and said, we want to put a superstore there, 165,000 square feet. They got approved, but Sam's was owned by Walmart. Walmart was start diving into that same business Amazon's in. They had a lot of capital involved in that, so they kind of pulled out and said, you know what, we're not going to do any more of these big expansions until we see how things work out. So the developer found another buyer. This buyer wanted 300 multifamily residential. And it would be medium to high end. It would be like one of the projects I previously showed. That's the rendering, and that did get approved. So that will be going forward in some manner or form fairly soon. Gateway Triangle and Bayshore. Rebecca Maddox, does that ring a bell to anybody here? She owns 360 Market. Okay, she had this idea. She says, I want to do a food truck park. Well, we've never had a food truck park in Kaiser County, so we didn't know what it was. I'm not sure she owned one before, but she liked the idea, and it seemed like okay, it's not a bad idea. How does it work? Well, I have 8 food trucks. I only need 15 parking spaces because they come in and get their food, they buy refreshment, and they leave. Now, how many people have left? Nobody. It got so busy down there, they called me and said, can you come down and see what's happening here? I couldn't believe it. And success is a great thing, but it was kind of overrunning the neighborhood, and so she had to get a parking lot up here. That got approved. It's under construction right now. I can tell you, for an off-site parking lot, that'll be the nicest parking lot in Collier County. She agreed to put all kinds of things in to appease the concerns in the neighborhood, and that is going to keep things quiet. It's going to be run nicely, so in the end, that'll turn out to be a really good thing. Across the street, there's 2 parcels side by side. They were recently came in for a commercial and residential unit mix. Down here, the old Engine World. Anchor Lab last year wasn't open. It's a microbrewery. It is now open. And right here is the marina. They're still going through their dry storage routine. They're going to end up with 62 boats of dry storage there.
Mark, can I just jump in one more time?
Absolutely.
Rebecca brought 3 more lots across the street, across Bayshore from her place to build something else. I don't know what it's going to be, but she's just going to make that little place a gold mine. So it's, yeah.
I heard there's going to be some kind of wine-orientated place in one of those. I don't remember, but I heard this morning. So, height changes. If you enter the city of Naples, you're going to go through Davis and Tamiami Trail, right there. Well, the world's going to change there because the county owned this parcel. We're under contract with the developer to put some projects there. And the piece in front saw the activity, so it's going with its own separate direction, but with another fairly big project. So the one in back is going to look like this, one of the renderings. As those 3 buildings, the highest would be 162 feet, a mix of residential, hotel, commercial, and the rest of it. That's another rendering, different angle. And this is the intensity that it would be allowed to go to. They can mix and match, but they can't exceed that intensity. When we talk about intensity, I mean water, sewer, roads, things like that. So whatever the road count is here, they can add a little more hotels, but they have to. It won't be as much as it won't be equivalent to every single residential. It'll just be on what the traffic counts are. And the one in front was gone through a couple different owners already. This particular building right here met the zoning code already, and that's the parking garage behind it. That's what it's supposed to look like. 112 feet high, hotel and condominiums. The new owner is in for review on 150 hotel rooms. The previous owner was about a third of that number, but a little more condos. But they mixed and matched to not exceed the traffic counts, and that's the mix they're coming up with now. Then we get down on Thomaston Boulevard. Thomaston Avenue's got a lot. The Ave Maria project's well out of the ground and working its way through its sales. Across the street, Cirrus Point. Cirrus Point was previously 108 units. New owner took them over, is requesting 127 units, changed the name to Meridian Landings. It's in process. These are medium-priced apartments, Springs and Hammock Cove. They're well out of the ground. Quite a few of them, I believe, are complete. Down here is one other Wawa, Ann and Eddie.
Yeah.
Every time I think of Wawa, I think of Ann and Eddie. We got to get to that one. This is the one in front of the old Ace Hardware building where they cut the end of it off. They're putting a Wawa gas station there on 41 in Rattlesnake. And right near there is a storage facility in East Naples. Can you believe that?
It's going to be 1,000 units in that one.
Yes, and I just found out this morning it's 126,000 square feet, so it's a pretty big self-storage facility. Then Sable Bay's got a condo hotel going in front out by the Culver's area right there. Rattlesnake, Hammock, Santa Barbara, Davis. There's a CVS pharmacy at Davis Boulevard in Santa Barbara. Right behind it, it's going to be the 4th Wawa in Collier County. Actually, the 3rd. I haven't shown you the 4th yet. We're getting to that. Across the center is an old PUD, planned unit development, that was approved for these numbers a long time ago. 262,000 square feet with about 500 residential units. They're clearing that property and they're doing some of the site work. South of that is Chili's. They just did their blasting, and 224 multifamily there. Camus is 300 units over on Collier Boulevard, south of Forest Glen. Part of the San Marino development going up there. EMS stations going across from Naples Lake on Lord's Way. And right there is a commercial project that is asking to add 265 apartments to that. I don't know what price range they'll be, but that's in process as well. A little bit south of that is a project called Rock Edge, 266 units. It's got to go through platting and stuff like that, so it's been in for processes for a while. And this is a big anchor on the south side of the county. 52 million expansion for Florida Southwestern University over the next 5 years. That's going to have a new series of degree programs, buildings, and a lot of activity going around. It'll spur interest and more interest in all that if what you see is not enough. Right here is Shadowwood. That's an old project, had 232 units left to build. They're now asking about exit ways and how to start moving forward with that. So Collier Boulevard and East Tamiami Trail, this is the Aldi's down by the new shopping center. This is Collier Boulevard, and this is the Trail East right here. Next to Tractor Supply, we have another storage facility. And 2 unallocated sites next door to it. Right over here, CS and Triangle. Got 1 or 2 restaurants going in. They got a building going in. I don't know who they're going to lease it to yet. Up here, NCH has just opened up another urgent care off of Grand Levy Boulevard. Down here, between Outback and Hobby Lobby, buildings out of the ground, 6,500 square feet, 6,500, half residential and half retail. The retail, the half restaurant and retail. The restaurant had First Watch's name on it for a while, but now it's not, so I don't know for sure who's going to get it. Another stores, we didn't have it right here. The tilt-up walls are up. That's what it'll look like when it's done. And then up here's another assisted living facility out in front of Treviso Bay. And then down here where Southwestern Boulevard is on 41, all that clearing, 200 multifamily and 16,000 square feet of commercial out front. And then last but not least is the Wawa down on Price Street. This is number 4. This is the one closest to when we were going to go to. South Collier along the trail. This is brand new. In fact, I put this on here 2 hours ago. Publix is putting in a new Publix center at Sandpiper and US 41 at the Fiddler's Creek project. So you'll see it's a 140,000 square foot shopping center. A big chunk of it will be Publix. That is the furthest grocery store east on the south part of the county. 7-Eleven's already got property across the street. They're in for permit on a place there with 16 pumps. Up here, this is one of the Habitat projects. Now look at that house. Completely different mix for Habitat. This is a 2-story, a single unit, but it's a much better style. It's better received. So they're doing several of those in the county now. Over here is Argo Manatee. It was cleared a while ago. It's split by Manatee School. Manatee School is down here. This is Manatee Road. Another developer started it. It was just purchased recently, and they're in for review to finally start the project up. 191 units. This one just came in. Embrook, they want 526 residential units on Manatee Road behind the mall, the discount mall that's there. That's got to go through the process yet, so I don't know where it's going to end up. That takes us to the fun part, roads. That is not a Motley Road. That's not Site 75. That's all because you gave us so much money in the sales tax we can start building overpasses and things like that. I hope we never look like that. But we are going to build overpasses. In fact, we like the one on Golden Gate Parkway so well. You're going to see some improvements when we get down here. Right here is these are all the new corridors that are going to go in Collier County over the next 10 to 15 years. Logan Extension. It's already in up to the county line. Lee County is going to connect it up to Media Beach Road. And eventually, Collier Boulevard is still in the books. We may take it up and connect to the same point, so we have 2 north-south links there. But the big part is going to be what's going out east. All these east-west connectors will lead traffic on the Motley Road and Pine Ridge Road if they all get built. Now, we've got some of them already in design, already being mixed, but the key to all this is that blue line right there. That's called Big Cypress Parkway. That will allow us to take all the traffic that's going to be out east, which will be a population probably greater than the urban area, and take it to I-75 way out here rather than coming back into the urban area to get down I-75 and go east. So that interchange is going to be really important. It's something we're working with the developers out there to see if we can find a way to make sure that land's locked up, and we'll see where it goes. And then right here, our sports parks generate enough traffic. We're gonna have a connection up to Wilson that'll take folks up to Mockley Road. There is gonna be a parallel main road, north and south, like 951, but over here it's gonna be called the Benfield Corridor. It'll actually go down and start at Manatee Road and 41, go along the outside and up over I-75 and connect to City Gate Boulevard. But that's another, like I said, that's a long-term possibility. We do have a lot of this already acquired. We got bits and pieces from the developers that have come in and asked for approvals. They've given up some of the land. This is the overpasses. That's what we already have, an airport and Parkway. These are the three that we're going to be paying for. This is Randall Boulevard and Mockley Road and Collier Boulevard at Heritage Bay. And this is US 41 and Collier Boulevard. Each one of those will be 45 million plus. Number 4 and number 2 already have the footprint somewhat laid out. If you see the intersection improvements, you wonder why all that green space is there. It's for those. Number 1 is still waiting on more design. And then number 3 is the one we talked about at I-75 going up over Davis Boulevard. So, why we are number 1. Naples just became, this is interesting, the best beach town to live in. And you all thought Naples wasn't affordable. Here's why they got to be number 1. Affordability. Now, I looked at that and I said, nah, it can't be affordable. So I took a look, and this was Wallet Hub that did this. Affordability was almost 0. But all the rest of them were so high, it still got to be ranked number 1 as the best beach town to live in the United States. Take a look at our sheriff's department. These guys are worth their weight in gold. We have 8 counties left in the state of Florida that have a continuous decline in crime. We are one of them. In fact, we are the lowest crime rate of any county in the state of Florida. Sheriff's Department over the past number of years has continually seen our crimes reduced. And we've got a record of lowest since 1971, 64% decrease in the last 18 years in Kaiser County. That's thanks to Sheriff Rambos. He's done an excellent job. Average increase in market values. You want to invest someplace? Where are you going to get a return of 8.29% over 20 years? Kaiser County. This is our cycle. We're up and down based on the appraiser site. We're a little bit lower right now, but we'll see. It doesn't look like a recession's as imminent as everybody thought, so that'll probably start kicking back up. And then a couple that I like the most. We were the happiest, healthiest community in the USA 3 years in a row, and guess what? We won it in 2018 as well. So that means we're all going to be around here longer because we are number 10 in the nation for longevity out of 3,142 counties. We're the 10th. We're all going to be around here a long time, so this Republican club's going to be real hot. Now, this has absolutely nothing to do with land use. That's my tractor. I just restored it. It's a 42-year-old tractor. It's 4-wheel drive, one of the rare models back from the 70s, and it runs like a champ. It's got a 2-cylinder diesel engine. I took it down to the rails and brought it back up again. It's been a blast. It's the best psychological thing I could have done in my life. So anyway, that's my tractor. It's got nothing to do with tonight, but I thought you'd get a kick out of it. And that takes us to the end of the presentation, folks.